What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing 6 habits that will inhibit fat loss, aka make it harder for you to lose fat. I'm going to be breaking this down because essentially, if you're stuck in a position where you're unhappy, if you're unhappy with your body, with your health, with a multitude of those things, maybe your lifestyle, it's a result of your habits. So instead of trying to rush into implementing good habits, let's also focus on deconstructing the bad ones and knowing what we should stop doing while also knowing what we should implement. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the 6 habits that typically will inhibit fat loss for majority of people. I have been through this, and I've also seen people in my DMs, and also some of my clients have gone through these scenarios to a certain degree. So I'm going to break them down for you. Like I said, you're probably struggling with one, if not more of these things. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it so that you can correct this. Number 1, no structure. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. It has to be the world's best plan ever, but you need to know what you're doing to some degree, right? What is the timeline of your goal? You want to lose X amount of pounds by what time? You want to be able to do this certain feat in the gym by when? And how are you going to get there? Because a lot of us want the transformation. We can envision point A because we're there, and we can envision point B, but we don't really do anything besides hope, pray, and wish that we're going to get there by just mentally keeping track of kind of half-assing the path to the goal. You need to have a finger on the pulse, essentially, so you can know what's going on. You need to be able to know what you're doing in the gym, number 1, so you can make sure that you're progressing and you're growing. Number 2, so you can make sure that you don't have to constantly come up with a plan every single day. When you have a plan set in place that you can follow, you'll be more likely to follow it because you don't have to make so many decisions on the day-to-day. And number 2, you can track things and make sure you're progressing instead of, relying on Old Faithful, your brain, to remember that you're progressing. There's plenty of times where I've showed up to the gym and I'm doing an exercise that I was doing last week and I genuinely can't remember exactly which weight I was doing. That's why we plan things, because if we just kind of like wing it, we're essentially wasting our time. Because if we're already there in the gym doing the work, we might as well make sure it counts as much as it can. So if you're winging it, it's counting less. And then when it comes to nutrition, you don't know the amount of people, and I myself have struggled with this, that think they're eating way less than they are. You can feel like you're eating a little and not be eating a little. Your satiation level doesn't always equate the amount of calories you've taken in. So instead of relying, again, on your brain to just keep track of everything, have a structure set in place. That'll take me to number 2. I'll start tomorrow. Everyone's famous fucking words. I'll start tomorrow. I'll start on Monday. I will start next year. I'm gonna tell you something right now, guys. If you start right this very second, today, right now, by the time January comes, you will have so much momentum stacked up that you will be cruising. A lot of people will say that they're going to start tomorrow as a cope in the moment, and they actually don't even start tomorrow. And I'm saying this because I used to struggle with it a lot. And primarily this was when I was binging. I remember this so vividly when I was younger and I would be going out with my friends a lot more frequently. I would put off getting ready to go out with them till like the last second because I was very insecure in my body. And naturally, when you're insecure in your body, nothing fits you right. You can't find your style when in reality, you're just a little bit chubby. And you just don't like getting ready. No clothes fit you the way that you want to. You look in the mirror and I got annoyed, angry, frustrated. I wanted to fucking cry. And so while I'm getting ready, I start binging on like Rice Krispie treats or Cheeto Puffs or Doritos or something like that. And then I'm like, I don't know, a couple handfuls or fistfuls of chips deep. And I'm like, all right, I'll just start tomorrow. Like, I'll just get back to it tomorrow. And then I feel less guilty in the moment about what I'm doing, when in reality, I'm probably not going to start tomorrow. And why can't I just start right now and address the problem as it is? And another thing I want to mention when it comes to procrastination and I'll start tomorrow is that there's no neutrality in what you do. Every decision that you make is either for the person you want to be or for the person that you are. Don't ever think that you can just keep pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off and the same door is going to be there. Eventually it will close. And I'm saying this because I used to struggle with this mode of thinking. I always thought that I had so much time to achieve this and, I could do whatever I wanted to. In reality, I was just strengthening all the negative habits that I had. I was keeping me rooted in a place in which I knew I needed to leave to become the person that I wanted to be. So stop laying those roots and venture on the path towards becoming who you want to become physically, mentally, in all aspects of your life. Next, We have, this is a little bit specific, but poor hydration. I'm only saying this because every single client I've ever had come to me is dehydrated. They don't drink enough water. I struggled drinking water, and then I wondered why I was hungry, why I had brain fog all the time, why I was so tired, I had no energy. Poor hydration. And you like may not feel the inclination to drink water. Oh, Megan, drinking water is so annoying. Yeah, but it's really annoying battling your cravings, then looking in the mirror and not being happy with what you see. That's really annoying. And at the end of the day, you got to pick one of them. One of them is going to annoy you. Let it be the water and not you hating the way that you feel in the mirror or look in the mirror, you hating the way the clothes fit you, you not feeling athletic, not feeling at the top of your game, not feeling like you're at your best potential, you not feeling good about yourself. Don't let that be the hard thing that you experience. Let it be the hydration, the training, the nutrition, all those things. Now, on a more scientific note, people that are typically dehydrated tend to confuse that with hunger and think that they need to eat, and they often eat a lot and they can't feel satiated because the whole time they were just thirsty. I'd aim to get about 3 to 4 liters of water a day. Start there. Now, if you're barely getting enough water, incrementally increase that. Obviously, it's going to be hard to go from 1 bottle of water a day to 6 bottles of water a day, but I'd aim to get around 3 liters. Next, lack of movement. This one is quite simple, but if you want to lose weight and you want something to speed up the process, right? You're already in a calorie deficit. You're already paying attention to what you eat. And you're like, how can I make this faster? Move more. Move more. Go on walks after every single meal. I have some of my clients do that to help with their mental health and their digestion. Can't hurt you. That will now lead me into number 5. Bad environment. If you hang out with 2 losers, you will be the third. If you hang out with 2 winners, you can finish that one for me. Don't hang around people who don't prioritize their health. Don't hang around people who look at you funny for eating certain things when they're having pizza, when they're having wings, when they're eating out. People that are mentally and physically healthy generally surround themselves with good people and have good environments. And I promise you, if you are surrounded by a bad environment, you will inevitably fail. I have lived this. I have been in multiple bad environments, whether it be some toxic relationships, toxic friendships, and just hard situations. Do everything you can to avoid that at all costs, because I know it may not seem like it matters if you surround yourself with people who are a bad influence or not the best, but you will pay the price for being around them, whether it be their negative energy, their choices, then like kind of bleeding into you or whatever. They say that you're like an average of the 5 people you talk to the most or spend the most time with. So please make sure that they align with where you want to be, who you want to be, and somewhat close to the goals that you have. And it's also really hard to thrive in an environment where no one understands what you're working towards, why you're doing what you're doing, and you kind of feel like you'll feel alienated and you'll feel alone. And that's not a great feeling. So don't bother staying somewhere where you guys aren't on the same path. And lastly, the biggest reason I see people struggle with fat loss, stress. Now, stress inhibits fat loss for 2 reasons. Number 1, your body is not operating as efficiently as it could be because it's stressed out. It has high cortisol. This is not good in terms of fat loss. It can cause extra water retention, weight retention, or fat retention. But it can indirectly cause weight gain because if we take a look at our hunger cues, I've made a video on this before, but scientifically, your hunger cues are influenced by 3 things. Now, the weakest of the 3 is going to be your homeostasis level, which is pretty much your body's need for the nutrients. So when your body needs food to perform what it's doing, that's the weakest one, when in reality it should be the strongest, but we're not going to get into that. The first and second, they're around the same level, is going to be your environment and stress. So when it comes to your environment, if you're constantly being shown these fast food ads, if you have all this junk food around you, that's going to influence your hunger cues without meaning that you necessarily need to eat it. You're just going to feel hungry. And then number 2, stress. When we experience a lot of stress, sometimes our brain can associate food with dopamine, and we utilize food in that moment for dopamine rather than for energy as it's supposed to be used. Now, because we do get dopamine and energy from food, sometimes when we experience stress, our body will feel hungry because it knows that it gets dopamine from eating a meal. And usually this meal is not the best meal that we should be having. They don't really need any excess nutrients. And being able to distinguish that while also managing and lowering your stress levels is going to help you almost have fat loss on easy mode. Now, what you're going to do to avoid this habit of being stressed out is number 1, assess your environment. Cut off any extra stress that you're experiencing that's not necessary, right? So if it's not your job and if it's not your kids or your responsibilities, it has no business being in your life. Number 2, get better at handling and processing the stress. Sometimes you need to write things down. You need to journal. You need to meditate. You need to listen to music. You need to allot yourself some time before bed to actually decompress. At the end of the day, you need to imagine yourself as two different people, the person you are now and the person you want to become, and you need to lead yourself to where you want to be. And in doing so, you will need to be able to handle stressful situations. You will need to be able to manage the things that happen to you so that they don't debilitate you. And those are the 6 habits or things that will inhibit fat loss and keep you stuck. If you have any questions at all, drop them in the comments down below or DM me on Instagram and I'll get back to you with a voice message. If you want me to coach you through this, apply in the link below and I will get back to you if you are a good fit and if spots are available. As always, guys, don't forget to do hard shit, be confident, have the courage to be uncomfortable, but most importantly, don't forget how much I'm rooting for you guys and how much I love y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.